Hello to you friends, this is Dhamma on air number 32, recorded on the 20th of August, the year 2016 on planet Earth. And the trumpet flowers are blooming and we are in the middle of the rains retreat, the 3 months period where monks are not allowed to travel more than 1 week. And it's a fairly nice day up here on the mountain. Little bit wind, but and a lot of birds. There are 5 questions, but we take the normal intro as usual. Namo, Tasso, Bhagavato, Arahato, Samma Sambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened was the blessed Buddha. The first question goes like this. Question number 95. Venerable Sir, for the benefit of Devas and Humans, please can you talk about the 37 wings to enlightenment and the benefits they give to anyone who cultivates them? Yes, indeed I can. For the benefit of all beings, may all beings, sabbasata, become happy thereby. May they do. These 37 wings to enlightenment or to awakening are also called the 37 requisites for enlightenment, the bodhipakkhiya Dhamma, or the 7 sets producing enlightenment. So Buddhism is about cause and effect. What's the cause of enlightenment, of awakening, of bodhi? The cause of enlightenment is these 37 states, Dhamma, that are requisites, conditions, causes that lead to enlightenment. I have a small Dhamma drop called 7 Sets on my website, whatbuddhasaid.net, and it's in the drops 3. It's called the 7 Sets. You just go to my website, whatbuddhasaid.net, and search for 7 Sets, and you will find it. These 7 sets are preached by all Buddhas. The Buddha Gautama was the last Buddha who was here. He lived from 563 to 483 BC. And he's number 4th Buddha in this universal cycle, in this aeon, in this kalpa. Before him was Kassapa. Before him was Kunaganama. And before him was Kakusanda. And the next one will be called Meteya, Ajita Meteya, the unconquerable friend. But there's been many other Buddhas before them. Vesabu, Sikki, Vipassi, Pussa, Tissa, Siddhartha, Dhammadassi, Attadassi, Piyadassi, Sujata, Sumedha, Padumatara, Narada, Paduma, Achumadassi, Subita, Revata, Sumana, Mangala, Kondanya, Dipankara, Sanankara, Metankara, and Tanhankara. Just to mention a few of those we know the names of. Now we're more than 91 universal cycles backwards in time. All these Buddhas, all of them, unambiguously. Also in the endless road that's come before them, and in the endless road that come after Meteya and the next Buddha. They will explain these 37 states, these 37 wings to awakening that produce enlightenment, the bodhipakkhiya Dhamma. So if one has a wish to be enlightened, to end suffering, then of course it is very crucial to know these 37 states. So we will go through them in detail. Hang on in there. There's a good, to as an overview, to remember them in your heart, there's a good sentence that just goes to 4445578. These are the 7 sets. 4445578. 4 is 12. 5 is 10. 10 plus 12 is 22. The 8 is the Noble Eightfold Path is then 30, and the 7 factors to enlightenment, the Sambhuyanga, is then 37. So it's easy to remember. 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 7, 8. The first set is the core of the start, the key of the initiation of the Noble Path is Samasati, right awareness. What is the fourth foundation of right awareness? This is awareness of the body merely as a transient form, a compounded, constructed thing. That the body is not me, not mine, not what I am. This is the first factor of right awareness, the fourth foundation of awareness. The body, not identifying with the body. The second is not identifying with the feeling. Then feeling is right awareness of feeling is only an emotional response that is also transient. My feeling, my emotional life, my likes and dislikes is not what I am. It's not me, it's not mine. It's not my feelings, it's just feeling that arises and ceases right there. Second factor. Third factor is awareness of mind only as a set of habituated moods. Moods that come and go. Then you're happy, then you're unhappy, then you're distracted, then you're angry, and then you are satisfied, then you're confused, blah, blah, blah. Huh? So it's moods. They come and go. They are conditioned by certain other states. Confusion is conditioned by ignorance. Doubt is conditioned by uncertainty, and so on. So they are conditioned states that arise and cease. They have their own causes. They are all ephemeral, transient, coming and going. Therefore, they cannot be me, the same what I am. They are not mine, because I cannot keep them. They are coming and going. So this is not identifying with one's own mind. Now we're not identifying with the body. We're not identifying with the feeling. We're not identifying with one's own mind. The third factor of right awareness is not identifying with the world. It's knowing the world, being aware of the world only as constructed mental states. So what you have of witness of the world is what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch, and what you think. This is all perception. This is all consciousness. It is not a world out there, independent of the mind that perceives it. It's a mental state. The world is a mental state. It's an experience of the world. There is nothing else an experience. It's called radical empiricism, and both the Buddha and William James, a philosopher and psychologist, first psychologist, agrees upon that. Radical empiricism, insisting on an experience as the ground of all being, as what existence means. It means actually an experience of existence and nothing else than that. Not a naive reality pointing to something out or behind, beyond the phenomena, beyond the experienced phenomena. There's no noumena, as Immanuel Kant, German philosopher, would have called it. There's no noumena. No, there's nothing behind experience. There's only this experience itself. So this was the fourfold definition of right awareness, samasati. Awareness of the body merely as a transient and compounded form. Awareness of feelings just as conditioned emotional responses. Awareness of mind as a habituated and temporary set of moods. And awareness of all phenomena only as constructed mental states. Right awareness of these four, while being alert and clearly comprehending, will put away any longing towards, that is greed, and any aversion against, that is hate, anything in this world. So the purpose of these four foundations of awareness is to put away longing, greed, and put away aversion, hate, and thereby also putting away ignorance, avidya. The second set goes like this. It's the four right efforts, sama vajjama. There's also a factor of the Noble Eightfold Way. The fourfold definition of right effort is the effort to overcome already present disadvantageous mental states, such as jealousy, greed, hate, anger, lust, pornomania, doubt, uncertainty, and so on. The effort to prevent future disadvantageous mental states from arising. The effort to begin developing so far absent advantageous mental states, such as generosity, for example, start to be giving, such as concentration, start to meditate, such as investigate, start to read the Dhamma and see videos like this. And the effort to maintain and perfect already arising advantageous mental states. This is right effort. So it basically is to stop anything that is bad and evil in one's own mind, and to prevent it from it arising ever again. And then start whatever is good to do, whether verbally, mentally, or physically. Start to do that, and then maintain and perfect it until having become enlightened. This is right effort, samavajama, a factor of the Noble Eightfold Way. Then there's the four. This was the second set, huh? 4. There was 2 fours. The third 4 is the 4 ways to force. The iddhipada is what in the more serious part of the training produce the ability to elevate, the ability to read others' mind, the ability to swim in earth and in a block of cement by changing the elements, the primary elements, by making fluidity or solidity to fluidity and vice versa. And in the final stage, also knowing the end of the mental fermentations, which then produce enlightenment. All the spectacular effects of Buddhist training comes from these iddhipada. But these spectacular, such as elevation and knowing others' minds, reading others' minds, and so on, they are not regarded as spectacular by the Buddha himself, because they don't lead to the end of suffering. It is only the ending of the mental fermentation, asava, that leads to enlightenment. Whether you can fly in the air like a bird, or whether you can dive into, go through a cement wall, or go through a mountain unhindered, or swim in the earth, or know other people's mind, this doesn't end suffering for such a Superman or Superwoman. It doesn't end suffering. They also die. They also become old. They also become sick. So all these tricks, they are not the end of suffering. So one shouldn't fall in love with them. They're spectacular, yes, but not more than that. This was 4. The fourth set is the 5 mental abilities. Indriya, the ability of faith, saddha. The ability of energy, virya. The ability of awareness, sati. The ability of concentration, samadhi. And the ability of understanding, panya. When these become unshakable, then they become the 5 mental powers, bala. The power of faith, sattva bala. The power of energy, the power of awareness, the power of concentration, and the power of understanding, which is the highest. This was the 2-5. So 5 abilities and 5 powers when these have become unshakable. While they are being developed by developing understanding, concentration, and so on, they are called abilities. When they are unshakable, they are called powers. The power of faith is unshakable by faithlessness, by disbelief. The power of energy is unshakable by laziness. The power of mindfulness is unshakable by forgetfulness. The power of concentration is unshakable by distractedness. And the power of wisdom and understanding is unshakable by ignorance and neglect. So when they are unshakable, they are irreversibly situated in mind, sitting there, doing their job all the time, never giving up. Then they are called powers, not without a reason. So these were the 2 5s. So there's 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 7, 8. Now we need 7. The 7 is the 7 links to awakening, Sambhuyanga. Boy comes from Bodhi, Anga means way or step to, 7 steps to enlightenment. Sam means perfect or own. So the 7 perfect steps to own enlightenment could be a translation. 1. Awareness, sati, is a link to awakening. Sati sambhuyanga. Investigation, curiosity, is a link to awakening. Vichaya sambhuyanga. Energy, enthusiasm, is a link to awakening. Vidya sambhuyanga. Joy, piety, is a link to awakening. Piety sambhuyanga. Tranquility, calm, is a link to awakening. Pasadi sambhuyanga. Concentration, absorption, is a link to awakening. Samadhi sambhuyanga. And equanimity, serenity, imperturbability, undisturbedness, is a link to awakening. Upekka sambhuyanga. These are the 7 links leading to final mental enlightenment. Because they lead to enlightenment, therefore they are called factors of enlightenment, said Buddha in Samahita. Those whose mind are well developed in these factors of self-awakening, who delight in non-clinging, who relinquish all grasping, whose minds are all around luminous, whose mental fermentations are all stilled, they, even while still in this world, are all unbound right here. So what he basically says is that if one perfects these 7 sambhuyangas, these 7 factors of enlightenment, and thereby also the 37 producers of enlightenment, the 7 sets, then one is enlightened right here, right now. So this was the 6th set. The 7th set was 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 7. This was number 7. 7 factors of enlightenment, sambhuyanga. The 8, what is 8? This is the Noble Eightfold Way, of course. The Noble Eightfold Way, bhikkhu, is a noble life. Development of the Noble Eightfold Way is a noble life, said the Buddha. Namely, right view, samaditthi. Right motivation, sammasankappa. Right speech, samavacha. Right action, samakabanta. Right livelihood, samaajiva. Right effort, samavajjama. And right awareness, samasati. And right concentration, sammasamadhi. The destruction of greed, destruction of hate, and the destruction of ignorance. This is the final goal of all noble life. So the noble life is a development and completion of the Noble Eightfold Way. And this will destroy all hate, all greed, and all ignorance. And that itself is enlightenment. That itself, that absence of greed, absence of hate, and absence of ignorance, and all their derivatives, is Nibbana here in this life. "20 minutes in, I might made a later a full version of these 7 sets, but just remember, go to my website, whatbuddhasaid.net, and search for the 7 sets, the 7 sets. The 7 requisites of enlightenment. The 37 states that produce enlightenment. The 37 wings to awakening. The 7 sets. So far with this, we go to the next question. Question 96. In Asia, there is a Hungry Ghost Festival in the 7th lunar month where one of filial piety towards one's deceased mother and father offer food to the Sangha. So if they has been reborn in the hungry ghost realm, in the Peta realm, then they would get a better rebirth next time. Is that in accordance with the Dhamma, or is it blind superstition? That is in accordance with the Dhamma. Normally we would say that one's rebirth is not determined by other beings' actions. Whether somebody gives something over there cannot affect your destination over here. But there is one exception, and that's 1 out of 8 kinds of Petas. Petas, they normally either cannot eat anything, or they can eat corpses, menstruations, abortions, or something like that. They can live for millions of years. And they are have very big sorrow because they cannot eat anything, and because their very big body that they have to drag around is very painful. So they are in a very bad state. And we know from one Peta that has been Sariputta's mother, she came and asked when he was giving a Dhamma speech whether he could give her something and dedicate the merit to her. As this is what you do. You give something, you give something to the Sangha, and then you dedicate the merit of what you have given to whoever in your family, 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, will become hungry ghosts. And a hungry ghost's destiny is something that you earn from stealing, or from taking what is not given, or from committing fraud with insurance or taxation or something like that. In generally stealing and economical fraud. Also taking something that belongs to the Sangha, lay people that takes food belonging to the Sangha, or money belonging to the Sangha, or whatever that has been given to the Sangha by others, then they misappropriate that and say, this is not the Sangha's, this is their personally. Then you're almost sure becoming a hungry ghost. But it's true that 1 out of 8 kinds of hungry ghosts, they can gain by getting something, merit, karma, probability, donated by their family 7 generations back, up to 7 generations back. And when they do that, and this can be many, you don't know your family 7 generations back, and this is a huge flock probably of thousands of individuals. And some of them have committed these kinds of things, theft, fraud, and stealing, misappropriation of value, and so they have become hungry ghosts. And it's because of that one can give to the Sangha and then dedicate the merit. Or one can give to whatever is given, one can dedicate the merit. It's not only in the 7th lunar month, as treated here in Asia, it's a Mahayana tradition. You can do it all the time, every day. Dedicate the merit to your deceased parents. 7 generations back, that has become Petas. So it's not exactly so. It's not only in the 7th month, and it's not only what's given to the Sangha, it is what's given in general, but it's particularly effective when it's given to the Sangha. And since we can help these Petas, these hungry ghosts, then we should do it. Definitely. So I dedicate the merit. May the merit here from giving you this Dhamma, may this free all the hungry ghosts in my family lineage, 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. May they be freed from their hungry ghost state. By this giving of all the merit I accrue, all the good probability, karmic probability I accrue from giving this Dhamma, which is the highest giving. Dhamma dana, sabba dana jinati. The giving of Dhamma overcomes all other giving, or conquers all other giving. So we know from this story from the Digha Nikaya that Sariputta, right at the moment he donated some merit that he had accrued from giving 7 meditation huts, Bhavana Kutis, to the Sangha, his mother was freed from her Peta life, right there at the moment when he donated the merit, when he dedicated the merit. So remember that, whenever you gain some merit by giving to the Sangha or doing something good, dedicate the merit also to your deceased Peta parents, or whoever in the your family lineage has deceased and become hungry ghosts. That's a good rule. One doesn't lose any probability oneself, because it's actually, when you give away the merit, it's also a way of giving. You earn, let's say you give something to the Sangha, some food, and then you earn some merit. Then you give this merit away, but this is also giving. So you doesn't lose, the giver doesn't lose anything. A giver never loses anything. They only wins. It's the taker that loses. So far go from the Hungry Ghost Festival. This is a real thing, but it should be done every day, every year, and every month, not only on the 7th lunar month. That's a cultural, Buddhist cultural festival, but it has a real background. Then there's question 97. I wish to ask, is working at a cafe that stocks meat products, is that wrong livelihood? Depends. If the shop sells the meat, then yes. If it only stocks it, have it in the freezer for themselves, then no. So the Noble Eightfold Way leading to the Nibbana is simply this: right view, right motivation, right speech, right action, right livelihood. Sama ajiva. Right effort, right awareness, and right concentration. But what is right livelihood? The fivefold definition of right livelihood is as follows: earning a living not involving any trading with living beings, like slaves, human trafficking, and so on. Also selling animals for consumption, growing chickens and then selling them for slaughter, or pigs, selling them for slaughter, wrong livelihood. Earning a living not involving any selling of meat, fish, or flesh. That's the case here. If the cafe sells meat products, then it's wrong livelihood. If the cafe don't sell it but only stock it, then it's okay. Earning a living not involving any selling, any form of weapons. Earning a living not involving any dealing with alcohol or illegal drugs. Earning a living not involving any selling of any form of poison. These are the fivefold wrong livelihoods, yes. Because you basically earn money by harming others. And that can never succeed. Then you can never succeed as a Buddhist. You can never attain enlightenment as long as doing that. Because the karmic effort is too powerful. Not only is you harming others, but you're also earning money by it. So being a butcher is not a good idea. Selling poison or being a pusher is not a good idea. Being a bartender, not a good idea. So much for right livelihood and wrong livelihood. Question, we can take the characterization of right livelihood for lay people. Any livelihood that neither involves any killing, injuring, harming, nor any forced imprisoning of any living being, nor any stealing, nor any taking what is not giving, cheating or bribery, any kind of corruption or lying or false deceiving, tricks or use of forced measures or ways. And neither any sensual nor sexual abuse, neither the use of any selling of alcohol or of intoxicating illegal drugs that cause carelessness and neglect. Neither by oneself nor by getting nor inciting other employed beings to do so. Such is right livelihood. So what it basically says is that one should not do it oneself. One should not cause others to harm others. To say, go and be a soldier, go and be a butcher, go and sell alcohol, go and sell illegal drugs. I don't do it myself, but please, you can do it. That's also wrong livelihood. So much for right livelihood and wrong livelihood. Question 98. Where does visual consciousness arise? In the cornea, in the lens, or in the retina? Yes, so we remember that a consciousness arises when the eye or the eye sensibility meets the visual form or the color. Then visual consciousness arrives. As we should point out the local aspect of consciousness, the particle aspect of consciousness. And we remember that in all quanta of energy, and thereby also consciousness, it has these two aspects: a local aspect that is right here and right there, and then a non-local aspect which is everywhere, which is like a field, and which is basically usually an undulation or a wave. So the local aspect of visual consciousness arise in the eye. Exactly where? In the lens? No. Because light passes right through. Where is it the information starts to be information? That is in the cones, in the retina in the eyes. There the light hits this cell, and then a small neural blip is created. Small instability, there's a protein called rhodopsin, and inside this protein called rhodopsin, then the light photon is absorbed, and this causes a vibration of rhodopsin, and this has a tail that spans the membrane, the cell membrane, and this membrane and then becomes a little unstable. And so ions are passing in and out, and this produces an electrical signal. So that it goes into the axon and into the brain. But the consciousness is arise where the information is created, and this is created in the retina, and more specifically in the retinal cells, or the entire retina surface at close to the cell membrane, inside the rhodopsin molecule, which is a fairly large protein actually. Right there, the local aspect arises. What about the non-local aspect? Can you say that where the non-local aspect arises? No, it doesn't make sense. The non-local aspect of the same visual consciousness arises simultaneously with the local aspect. So they arise and cease simultaneously. So the local aspect, when I look at this camera and you look at me, then the local aspect arises inside the eye. But the visual consciousness, the non-local aspect of the visual consciousness is everywhere present. And this is the reason why the Buddha, who has these abilities, the divine eye, Dipajaku, and the ability to read other people's thoughts, he would, if he was sitting on the other side of the planet, then he would see that I look at this camera. So he would be able to see what I can see. How is that possible? Because this visual consciousness, the non-local aspect of my visual consciousness arising and ceasing in my retina, also is on the other side of the planet, where he can read it, if he wants to, if he intends to, deliberately, then he will be able to read it. He can read other people's thoughts. So this goes for all, this means that all consciousness are overlapping because of this non-locality. Because they are all everywhere present. They can be read if you have the abilities to read them. Basically because they are on an undulation in a wave field that has a specific frequency, and this specific frequency is specific for each individual. My consciousness has one frequency, whatever point kilohertz, and yours has some other frequency, maybe megahertz or whatever. So you have to tune in exactly as one tune an analog radio by actually altering the functional state of the antenna from long to short. Then one can has a specific sensitivity for a certain wavelength of radio waves, which is the non-local aspect of photons. Same thing. So again, the local aspect of consciousness arises and ceases inside the retina, more specifically inside the cones, more specifically inside the rhodopsin molecule, which is a light-sensitive molecule inside. The non-local aspect of the same consciousness arises and ceases everywhere at the same time, simultaneously with the local aspect. And that's the basis for one can read other people's thoughts and see what other people see and hear what other people hear, if having these abilities. I hope this answers these questions. Train yourself in remembering this duality that goes for everything, that they have a local aspect and then they also have a non-local aspect. The non-local aspect is basically why having secrets is impossible. There are many beings, many beings, noble or not, divine or not, who can know other people's thoughts, who can know what other people do, who can know what other people see, think, say, on the other side of the planet, on the other side of the universe, on another planet, just by thinking of it, just by intending it. Therefore, you are overlooked. Privacy is an illusion. You're overlooked always. You cannot hide anything whatsoever. Think about that. Think about that. You cannot hide anything whatsoever, not even your thoughts. Nothing is private. Nothing is private. Dig that, friends. That is advantageous. Question 99. If someone is unaware of their ego, would they then not pay attention to others? And is this ignorance? So this question was asked by a person who is not paid attention to and who is talked down to and talked over and so on. And if one is not paid attention to and is disrespected, then one should think about it like this, because the Buddha, he says there's a specific karmic cause to being disrespected, to being not paid attention, not giving attention, to being dishonored, to being laughed at, and to being overlooked in the social sphere. And what's that karmic cause? That is actually jealousy and envy. If one is envious and jealous, then it produces this social effect. Again, because the karmic echo is everywhere present, that other beings say they don't care about one who is envious. They don't pay attention or respect someone who is envious. And especially if this envy is directed towards having respect. Let's say one sees another person who has respect, who enjoys respect, and who is very reputed, or who is famous. For example, an actor, or it can be a president, or any other famous person. And then one is envious because of that, envious towards that person. Because one wants that reputation, that attention, that honor, that fame that this other person has. Therefore one is envious. Then this produces, because of this karmic echo, the exactly opposite effect. Then both in this life and in the coming rebirth, then one will be disrespected. They will not pay attention to one. One will be dishonored, looked down upon, and talked right over. The social group doesn't care about people who are envious. This one should notice. So this means that basically it can be, I don't say that it is always so, but if not giving attention and people talk over the head of one, then one should think about, it's not their mistake. It can't be that it's because I myself is envious upon people who have a higher education or have a higher degree of fame or respect than I have. And this then is a karmic echo of my own doings. So it has nothing to do with them or their ignorance. It has something to do with myself and my envy and jealousy. In particular on persons who enjoy fame, who enjoy respect, who enjoy being honored by others, who enjoy others' attention. Difficult to see, difficult to see. And being neglected and disrespected in the social sphere, the karmic cause of that is envy and jealousy. But very good to know, very good to know. Because then you stop blaming the others, that they don't pay attention to you. You say, maybe I should look a little bit upon my own envy and jealousy. And then one will see often that there is envy and jealousy. Maybe before one has been told this, then one has been completely unaware of this envy and jealousy, even though it has been present in the mind 212 times a day for several hours. One has been unaware of it. Unaware of it. That's a terrible thing about the mind hidden. It's the mind hidden for itself. The mind is going outside, blaming others. It doesn't see its own mistake. It should look at itself. Mind seeing mind. So mind going outside is suffering. And it's the cause of suffering. Mind seeing mind is the end of suffering. Mind seeing mind is the end of suffering. Because it invokes and produces naturally that one sees the bad abilities or the bad qualities of the mind, and thereby start to handle them. If one neglects, is not unaware that they are there. One is not aware of one's own jealousy. One is not aware of one's own envy or desire or lust. Then it just keeps going on. It forms intentions. Or may this famous person be unfamous. May he fall down from his high social sphere. May he hurt himself. May he die. Huh? This person who is envious at the one who's famous. Terrible intention. This produces further down the road, one is dishonored, disrespected, and not paid attention to. Ignorance, again, first of all, if someone is unaware of their ego, yes, I know what's said here, but if we just strictly say there is no ego, so one can be unaware of one's own mind, but the mind is not an ego. There's no self, no ego. That's the anatta, sabba Dhamma anatta. All states are no self. They have no substance, they have no core. Deep down they're empty of self, of core, of substance, of a determined thing that can't exist in it by itself without mind observing it. That's the first thing. Is it ignorance? Let's go through what is ignorance. Once a certain not well-known Buddha asked the blessed Buddha, Venerable Sir, ignorance, it is said. What is ignorance? Avidya. And Venerable Sir, in what way is one wrapped up, covered over in ignorance? The blessed Buddha Gautama then pointed out, not knowing suffering, dukkha, is ignorance. Not knowing the cause of suffering, craving, Dhamma, is ignorance. Not knowing the end of suffering, no craving, absence of craving, is ignorance. Not knowing the way to end suffering is ignorance. Not knowing the Noble Eightfold Way is ignorance. That's ignorance. Not knowing whether you have an ego or not, that's not ignorance in the Buddhist sense. All this absence of understanding is ignorance, and is by that blindness, that dark state of blocked insight, that one is wrapped up in ignorance. Therefore, bhikkhu, an effort should be made to understand this is suffering. An effort should be made to comprehend such is the cause of suffering. An effort should be made to realize that is the end of suffering. An effort should be made to penetrate, recognize, and develop this Noble Eightfold Way, leading to the end of suffering. These are the Four Noble Truths, the Chattari Arya Chachani. So not knowing the Four Noble Truths, that's ignorance in the Buddhist sense. And that way one becomes wrapped up in darkness. One cannot see out, the mind cannot see out. It assumes a lot of things. It conjures up a lot of things. For example, the idea of an ego, that I am this and that. I am my body, or I have a body. I'm inside my body. I have feelings, emotions, and this is my mind. And this world out there is real and existent, independent of the perceiving mind. All these are mental constructions that are not true, not real. And therefore they lead out in the dark. They lead beings to do things that are disadvantageous for themselves and disadvantageous to others also. And therefore, because they are disadvantageous, detrimental, harming to themselves and others, they produce suffering by the karmic ego, by the karmic mirror. Such was the question for today. Finally, I'd like to say thank you for the food that the kind people gave me last month. There were several donors. Know that me, a forest monk, and 3 dogs and a cat, we are kept alive. And we are very happy about this food that we have got. Especially the cat, because the cat eats only one thing, and that is fully authorized, industrially produced, imported, Whiskas cat dry food. It doesn't need anything else. So it was particularly happy by getting food last month. Thank you again for that. I hope also that those who have given food, that they are happy, exceedingly happy, because giving other people's happiness, one gets happiness. Giving is getting. Giving is getting. Giving good is getting good. Giving bad is giving bad. It's getting bad. So is it. Another thing is that I'm setting up the solar panels, and they should soon be ready. I'll make a final report when they're up. I need some cabling. That's not available here. Welding cable, AVG4, as thick as a thumb. Can take 600 amperes. But as soon as they're ready, then I will make a small video report. Thank you for your attention. May all beings, conscious or not, may they become exceedingly happy, free, content, and understanding by this Dhamma. Namo Tasso Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened was the blessed Buddha. Thank you for your attention, and have a nice day.
You heard Bhikkhu Samahita from the Cypress Hermitage on the Knuckles Mountain, Pamparella, Central Hill Country, Sri Lanka. Please subscribe to the Google group Buddha Direct and visit the website whatbuddhasaid.net. May all beings become thus happy thereby. Thank you. Namo Tasso Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened was the blessed Buddha.